The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 67, Pain. Surprising, isn't it? Lorik's opponent says while waving his knife. His own blood drips off of it as he waves it around. Is this your soul ability? Lorik asks while rubbing his fingers against his wound. He pulls away, revealing fresh blood on his gauntlets. It is. My soul ability shares any injuries or pain between myself and whoever I target. The man replies before stabbing his own arm for emphasis. Blood sprays out of his wound as Lorik begins to bleed under his gauntlet. Before you ask why I'd injure myself, I comprehend the law of life. The man adds as his two wounds glow a faint green. They close up as if they've never happened. They don't even leave behind a scar. Do you not feel pain? Lorik asks, causing the man to smile eerily. Actually, I don't. I was born with a defect of sorts. I've never been able to feel pain before. I once broke my leg and walked on a broken bone for hours before someone noticed. The man says, causing Lorik to sigh. This will be annoying, Lorik says before the gauntlet on his left hand turns to mist. He then cuts his arm with the claws on his right hand. Blood stains his opponent's sleeve in the same place. What's your plan here? He asks before Lorik takes a deep breath. Mist covers his left hand and his gauntlet reappears. He then wraps both his hands around his throat. The other man's eyes go wide as he suddenly loses the ability to breathe. The skin around his throat moves, as if invisible fingers are wrapped around it. Lorik starts walking toward the man, still choking himself out. The man looks at him panicked, before stabbing his own arms. He continues stabbing and healing his arms. Lorik's arms start to bleed from the wounds that keep coming. Lorik stops 5 feet from him as he starts wobbling. His opponent's eyes are going dark and he grits his teeth. He falls to his knees before reaching out. Suddenly, a large white string appears connecting the two of them. It snaps and disappears before they each take a deep breath. A magic circle appears behind Lorik's head. A wolf's head comes out and roars, bringing him back to his knees. Lorik runs forward and slams his fist into his face. Blood sprays out of both their noses as he reactivated his soul ability. Summon Wolfpack, Lorik says before grabbing his shirt. He lifts him up, manipulating his gravity to make him lighter, before slamming him into the ground. He coughs as 2 giant phantom wolves step on top of his opponent. Lorik steps back before waiting. I yield, the man says with a sigh. Lorik's wolves disappear before a healer runs up to treat his wounds. His opponent leaves the stage as Lorik gets treated. Once he's been healed, he returns to the others. That was dangerous, Leora says as soon as she sees him. What else was I supposed to do? Lorik replies, toss him? You control gravity, just make it so he'd fall sideways out of the ring. Leora replies, causing him to freeze. I didn't consider that, he says, causing Cyrilda to laugh. In his defense, Lorik's not the think outside the box type, Rowan says. Damn right. Why think outside it when you can just break the box open? Lorik says, causing him to start laughing hard. Other people who were walking out of the arena turned to see what was so funny. Master, don't be mean to your sister, Nixfang says. Yeah, listen to her. Also here. Leora says before handing Lorik the hairbrush back. Thanks, and Nixfang, remember who your master is, Lorik says, causing Nixfang to turn away. Leora? A woman's voice calls out, causing Leora to turn quickly. Miss Marwyn? What brought you here? Leora asks while walking over to a woman. She looks to be in her mid to late 30s. She has long green hair that stops just below her shoulders. She has light green eyes and is wearing a plain white shirt and jeans. My nephew's participating in this tournament. I came to watch and stuck around to see the last match. But what brings you here? I didn't think you knew anyone at the academy. The woman asks, causing Leora to smile awkwardly. My brother is also participating in the tournament. Leora replies while motioning toward Lorik. I didn't know you had a brother. Why didn't you ever mention him? Marwyn asks. Well, it's just complicated, Leora says, before Marwyn stops her. I understand. Well, it's nice to meet you. Marwyn says to Lorik. Same here. My name's Lorik. Lorik says before Nixfang turns her head to face Lorik. Master, she smells odd, like a mix of creatures. Nixfang says, surprising Marwyn. Goodness, you have a speaking familiar, she says before realizing something. Is she the Fenrir I've been hearing about? She asks. Yes, I am a Fenrir. Nixfang replies proudly. Marwyn looks at Nixfang before Lorik hesitantly. Is there something wrong? Leora asks worriedly. No, well, if it's not too much trouble, Could I borrow you and your familiar for a day? Marwyn asks. Why do you want to borrow us? Lorik asks, causing her to smile. I teach the magical beast class at the Arcathan Institute. In order to better teach my class, I grow and raise a number of friendly magical beasts for them to interact with. I also ask mages with familiars to come by and let us interact and examine their familiars. Ever since I heard of you, Fenrir, I've wanted to get in touch with you. I never imagined you'd be my best student's brother. Oh, but I understand if you're busy, Marwyn asks. Sure, I don't mind, but it'll have to wait until after the tournament. But any day after that will do. You can have Leora message me what days work with you. Lorik replies, causing her to smile happily. Thank you. I'll be sure to let her know. I better get going now. Have a good night, she says before turning and leaving. You agreed to that awfully fast, Vera says in a questioning tone. Well, I know a thing or two about Marwyn. Besides, I know Leora would have asked me eventually if we hadn't run into each other, Lorik says. Lorik, exactly how much of what goes on in my institute do you know? King Eldrin asks, causing Lorik to laugh. That's what I want to know, Leora adds. On another subject, be sure to get lots of rest tonight, you four. You'll get your match times for tomorrow sometime later today, Cyrilda says before she and King Eldrin teleport away. I should get going too. I don't want to get too far behind on my project, Leora says before walking off. Nixfang turns back into mist and enters Lorik's soul. Back to the dorms then? Sarah says before they make their way back to their dorms. That was pretty surprising. Your opponent's soul ability. We didn't see the connection until they cut it, Vera says as they walk. Yeah, I wonder what law it uses. Regardless, that's a scary way to fight. Injuring and healing yourself, though I guess if you couldn't feel pain, it wouldn't be that bad, Rowan says, causing Sarah to lightly hit him. Not that bad? He said he broke a leg and walked on it for hours before. Besides, what if you got cut on the back or somewhere else you didn't see? You wouldn't know you were bleeding until someone else saw it, Sarah says, causing Rowan to nod. I couldn't imagine having to fight him. I don't think I'd be able to win, Vera says. I might if my soul ability didn't stun me when I used it on him, Rowan says. You're forgetting you have to close the distance. What if he cut his legs to make you fall? Sarah asks. Or he could just cut your tendon and render that leg worthless, Lorik says, causing a chill to run down Rowan's spine. Do you think his soul ability is what's preventing him from experiencing pain? Vera asks. What makes you think that? Lorik asks. Well, if he did feel pain, his soul ability would be pretty bad. He might not even ever use it. But since he can't feel pain, he's comprehended the law of life to fight using that ability. It just seems like his ability was made for someone who doesn't feel pain, Vera explains, causing him to nod. Maybe. Then when he becomes a mage and learns its corresponding law, he might be able to make himself feel pain, Lorik says as Sarah unlocks the door to their dorms. I'll get started on dinner, Vera says before walking into the kitchen. I'll help, Sarah says before joining her. Rowan and Lorik walk to the living room. Are you ready for tomorrow's match? Lorik asks. Yep, just 2 more matches after that before we get to the last 4, Rowan says. You're right. I thought there'd be more matches, Lorik says, surprised. With only 64 fighters, the winner would only fight in 6 matches, Rowan says. What about the people who lost the matches? Aren't there going to be matches to decide 3rd and 4th? Lorik asks. No, the professors will judge us based on how we did in our matches. Then they'll decide that, Rowan explains. Dinner's done, Sarah says as she and Vera come out of the kitchen. What'd you make? Rowan asks as they set a tray down. On it are hamburgers with a large bowl of fries. Thanks, Lorik says before grabbing one of the hamburgers. As he bites into it, their communications bracelet vibrates. Looks like we got out match times, Sarah says before they all check it. I've got the first match in my block, Vera says before lowering her arm. Same here, first of the day, Rowan adds. I've got the second match, Lorik says. Same with me, second, Sarah adds. Looks like we won't be able to cheer each other on again, Rowan says. We'll just split up. I'll watch your match, Rowan, and you can watch mine, Sarah says. Then I'll be watching yours, Vera. No pressure, princess, Lorik says, causing Vera to glare at him. I'll be there for yours too, prince, Vera says, causing Lorik to shrug and stuff a fry in his mouth. They finish eating before talking for a while. Lorik heads to bed early, wanting to meditate and study his summoning spell. The next morning, they wake up and get ready. There are no other merchants or anyone who comes to Lorik asking about Nixfang. As agreed the previous night, they watch each other's matches and they all come out on top. Given the high echelons of their laws, they have an advantage over the other students. Not to mention, they've been very diligent in comprehending their laws. So their opponents are all lower levels than them. However, it's only a difference of 1 or 2. The same happens the next day, bringing them to the 4th day of the tournament. They each only have 1 more match in their respective blocks. After that, they'll be the last 4 in the tournament.